Can you please introduce yourself and describe what you do?
My name is Marina Abramovic. I'm an artist, and I use different art forms to express my art. But the main art form is performance. But I also make transitory objects. I make photographs, video installations, and recently film. I was born in ex-Yugoslavia, and that's what I do.
Klaus Biesenbach said that there's never a moment that you're not performing. Do you think that's true?
I think Klaus Biesenbach exaggerates a lot. Because when I think really about somebody who really never perform, who always perform, will be Gilbert and George. But I really have the private moments when I'm out of, view of the public, which I'm in the old t-shirt with the holes, preferably really old, because I like to be comfortable, sitting in my countryside house and not answering any phone and just be myself. I need these kind of moments away from everybody and everything. But even in the front of people, it's not that I'm performing. I think that I'm not playing somebody else. I'm just me.
So do you think then that there's a line between you and the work?
I don't think so. It's really blurred. Maybe in the beginning of my career was a line, but then it's blurred completely. Because first of all, I always work from my experience. And then this experience, it's about me experience them. And then I try to translate that ideas into the work. And then I try to find the key that this experience become transcendental so that everybody can find himself inside that work and become universal. Because who cares about your own private life otherwise? And to find that kind of key, it's a really difficult job to do.
You're so rigorous with it, though. I mean, even to the point that you've made a performance out of dying, and you're not dead yet, right? So you've already planned your funeral. Can you talk about that a bit?
I come from the culture which is Balkan culture and Slavic, and we are very much dramatic people. And, we always suffer for something, like at least if we don't suffer at the personal level, then you suffer for the universe in generally. But also the death is such a big part of our life and existence. Since I was a child, my grandmother would always prepare her clothes for the moment when she's going to die and the clothes she's going to be buried. And I remember this for more than 40 years. She will have different type of clothes as a fashion change. One day will be polka dots, then dark blue, then the beige was the big deal. Then after this, she went into some little stripes, and then she get into brown, and she lived 103. So, in a way, she was always ready for that moment. And for me, thinking about that is the death is such a part of our life. Every single day I think about dying. Every day you're closer to your death. You just don't know when it's going to happen. And this transition, you have to be ready. And it's really important the way how to die. The three things I like to do: not to die, not to die angry, not to die in fear, and to die consciously. This is really what I like to achieve. And there was one funeral I went from the really friend I loved so much. It was Susan Sontag. It was in Paris, in Père Lachaise. And it was such a lousy, sad funeral. I don't know, something was wrong at this funeral. It was, after this, I say, okay, I think that she didn't give really description or the right instruction how her funeral is going to be. I'm not going to do the same with me. So I went from Paris straight to my lawyer and make very clear instructions. And instructions are like this. I like to be 3 Marinas, the funeral of 3 Marinas. Of course, one is fake, and one is real and 2 is fake. And I want them to be buried in the different parts of the world where I live the longest: Belgrade, Amsterdam, New York. And nobody will know, that what's going to be the real one. And I also love that everybody is in happy colors, wearing everything not black. Black will be out, but vibrant green and red and electric yellow and so on. And there have to be celebration of life. And my biggest wish is to Anthony Johnson's or Anthony Haggerty, or whatever he's called, he's changing his name all the time, who sing the I Did It My Way from Sex Sinatra, but in his way. He never agreed to this, but I think he'll be so sad when I die that probably he will do it.
I think what's so poignant about that for me is it sort of encapsulates what's so powerful about all of your work, that there is this really tight control on the experiment, on the performance, on what you're doing, but that you're not trying to control the viewer in any way. And of course, once you're gone, you can't control your audience. You won't know how it comes out.
You know, the relation of the performer and audience, it's a long way to look in the past. If you look in the 70s, performance was very vibrant, you know, the form of art in the beginning, and the audience was sitting at the chairs and looking at the performer performing. And that in many ways didn't work for a long time, because first of all, if it's your friends and the performance is boring, you know, they get so obsessed they can't leave because they feel self-conscious. And then, you know, they maybe don't like it, but you give them in this position of no freedom. And sometimes performances was interesting, then you just sit there. But it was very important to me later on to change this attitude between the audience and the performer. So in the Artist is Present, I really create situation where the performer was not, the audience was not seen as a group, but as individual, and performer was one-to-one. And then in 12 hours in Serpentine, I changed all the rules altogether. So that, you know, the performer is there, but is also blend in with the public, and the public is actually having experience and performing. And now the latest performance I made called Generator in Sean Kelly Gallery is getting even more radical, because here, you know, it's a commercial gallery, and you come something to see, or something to hear, or something to buy. You can't see because you're blindfolded. You can't hear because you have the headphones blocking the sound. And of course you can't buy because there's nothing to buy. So it's getting more and more radical. And I think that's very important personal experience of audience. And artists have to blend in or disappear.
There's so many myths that surround your work. You were just talking about the Serpentine piece, and it was interesting to me that there was all the noise about its relationship to Mary Ellen Carroll. Can you talk a bit about, maybe not even that in particular, or the controversy that judged up, but more how myth plays into meaning with your work?
Maybe more about what the
myth, how myth plays in.
But you know, myths are present in almost everywhere, in every works, in every gossips, in the newspapers, and things are truths and not truths. You know, one of the favorite things in the past, there was this very famous Chris Burden piece called Transfix, where he actually crucified himself on Volkswagen with the golden nails. And I remember I was in that time living in ex-Yugoslavia, and the rumors came that he was crucified with the nails on Volkswagen, and then his friend was driving the Volkswagen in the streets of Los Angeles, and then they've been arrested, and so on and so on. And then many, many years later, when I really asked him about this piece, how it was, he said it was very simple. It was the three friends in the garage. He gets crucified with the golden nails on the backside of Volkswagen. They opened the door of the garage, they pushed the car outside, and they took the photographs. The push cars inside took the nails, and that was it. And that's such a big story. It was circulating around this piece, and it was very different. And, you know, people love to make myths and love to make the true stories untruths. And then also, performance is an immaterial form of art, and it's time-based art. So if you're not there, you actually really don't know what happened, because you only have the word of mouth and some photographs and some video. So you can always made up a different story. And that stories are not necessarily true. But, you know, it's interesting how the myths are, you know, making work of art, which actually nothing to do with work of art.
Do you think, because here I have to ask, but I was talking yesterday with an artist about, the Judith Butler, Amelia Jones debate. Do you think that an artist or that the audience has to be present in order to really experience the work, or do you think a documentation is enough?
No, for me, it's crucial for me to audiences present, because I will never do performance work without audience. There is only one actually work that I done without audience, but it was so much publicized that actually audience somehow was participating. It was walking the Great Wall of China, which I walked from the Yellow Sea, and my partner Ulay from the Gobi Desert. We walk in the middle and to say goodbye, and each of us walked 2,500 kilometers. Once the Willem Dafoe said to me, "But why you just could not make phone call and end the relationship?" It's a good idea. It never crossed my mind. I think I had to walk this wall to say goodbye. But the audience is very important, because the audience actually complete the work. It's an energetic dialogue, because the spectator and the performer, and you're giving message, and the message has to be seen and heard. And without this, I don't see the point. Working with the performance. It's another thing that artist, is working in seclusion of his studio, making the painting, and the painting go to hang on the wall, and the painting is the work, and artist doesn't need to be there to do anything. But if the performer is a subject and object of the work, then performance need audience.
Wait, that sort of naturally brings me to think about what you're trying to do with the institute that you're building, and that's a place for people to sort of learn how to perform, but learn how to connect as well.
Oh, institute is a big subject. So let's talk about the institute. First of all, as I'm obsessed with dying, I'm also obsessed about what you leave behind you. And physical goods, who cares about them? But if you leave behind a good idea, this good idea can have many lives. So in my case, I want to leave good idea of this institute, which is not foundation, because many artists make foundation about preserving their own work. In my case, institute is a much larger picture. It's a kind of marriage between art, science, and technology, and really is there to actually deal with the future and with the big picture of the future, where we are going now. From my point of view, technology absolutely robbed us of our time. Technology was invented that human beings have more time, but actually we just get trapped and we are not having any time. So the idea is how we can claim the free time for ourselves, the free time for our own mental, spiritual development and changing consciousness, because we can only change the world if we change the consciousness about things as they are now. So this institute, has so many different purposes. One of the purpose is to deal different with the time. The second purpose is to learn the public how they can see something which is long durational, and to go over the boredom of themselves. And then the purpose, how they can, through that, actually change their own point of view on the world, and what they can do with that new point of the world. And I'm really thinking, for me, it will be incredibly important to take, as the institute is going to be built in Hudson with the Rem Koolhaas, the drawings, and the project is to be in Hudson, which is a small city outside of New York. But this small city have exactly the same problems like big city. There is a racism, there is a corruption, there is a bad things, good things, manipulation, just everything like any other city, but on the small scale. So if these citizens of that city are my first visitors of institute and go through this kind of preparation of their consciousness, and if we can influence the change in them, we are creating big picture. We are creating kind of model of different society that can be applied to somewhere else. And this is such a big aim which I'm trying to achieve on the really small scale, because it's so easy to always criticize how things are not good around you. But what you can do personally and how you can change something in even like pioneering steps. So this is my proposal, the Institute for Long Durational Immaterials Form of Art, and also science and technology. But immaterial forms of art are everything, including opera and dance and film and video and performance and the theater, everything which is time-based. So when you arrive in the institute, first you have to sign the contract that you're going to stay 6 hours, and you give me word of honor. And of course, if you go earlier, you don't respect your word of honor. It's not my problem. But you give me 6 hours, in which one you leave your watch, you leave your computer, you leave all this belonging to reminds you of technology and time, and you gain 6 hours for your own self to experiment something different. And then you come with this experience that you see if you can use at least part of it in your own life, whatever you do, whatever kind of job you do in your life, from the cleaning of the street, or being farmer, or science fiction writer, or Bangladeshi housewife. You take this experience with you and see what can you do something with that.